Join one of Pennsylvania's newest paranormal investigation teams on their YouTube channel, Phantom Detectives LLC, and follow them on social media. Phantom Detectives LLC is a professional paranormal investigation team from Wilmington, Delaware. They conduct investigations from historical societies to homes, businesses, to asylums, and more. Every member has been well trained on history, educated in all 8 areas of the paranormal, and will bring an excellent attention to detail to every investigation. Phantom Detectives LLC will be conducting free information systems at libraries all over Pennsylvania. During these sessions, they will go over evidence from past investigations, how they conduct investigations, and answer questions from you. The team will be making numerous trips across the United States to perform investigations in America's most haunted locations. Dream locations.
Hey, Rock Dude here.
Mark TZ, and welcome to a special presentation on Gearheads on the
Rockin' House.
Today we have special guest from Phantom Detectives. Originally, Chester County, Pennsylvania, but now in Delaware, I believe. We have Melissa Ferrazzano is live with us today. She's a psychic medium, and we have Rick Warner, he's the lead investigator, live here at the Rockin' House on Gearheads.
And you know, Mark, we're doing something that's not music-oriented today, but we're doing a 360 here. We're doing a Ghostbusters episode. You know, you see these famous people on television, but they don't really show you what their gear is all about, right?
Yes.
So the guys we're going to have on today are going to break down what their gear does and how it works, and we're going to have a good time finding out how these things operate and work.
Awesome. So I say we bring them on. What do you think, Rock Dude?
Yeah.
All right, let's bring on Melissa and Rick to the Rockin' House. Welcome to our show.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Thank you for having
All
us.
right. Thanks
Coming,
for
Rick.
coming, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As long as you didn't bring no bad spirits, we're all right. Have a
No
seat.
bad spirits
Yes,
Little
no bad
cozy here.
spirit. Yeah,
Yeah.
good
here.
stuff.
We brought the spirits for you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to our show, and we have a special presentation because we've never, like she said, we've never done nothing like this before, and we're excited about doing this here on Gearheads, one of the spin-offs of the Rockin' House. And we got Rick Warner, lead investigator, with us today, and Melissa Ferrazzano. She is an actual medium and a psychic. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
I'd like to start this show with how you guys connected.
Okay, well, it first started with myself. Melissa came afterwards. So our director, Joshua Chairs, who's the director of Phantom Detectives, he's the one who found me on LinkedIn.
Nice.
And I come from an investigative background as a certified UFO field investigator under MUFON. And he wanted to bring me into his team using my interviewing skills to interview clients, and also my background of just doing an investigation, gathering data, the facts, putting stuff together.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how that happened. And then later on, he connected with someone he knew that I believe that was your mentor, Cindy.
Yes, Cindy Keza, yep.
Yeah, Cindy Keza, who had highly recommended Melissa, who's our psychic medium, and then brought her in to Phantom Detectives.
So Joshua is going to be later on the show. We're going to have him on here. He is the one that started this whole amazing journey of Phantom Detectives.
Yes.
How cool is that? And we will have him on the show very shortly. Well, let's start with how this all came together with him and how it developed to what you've been doing. I mean, you're doing this amazing stuff. You have really cool gear. You're actually going to show everybody today on the show how it works, and pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, I brought a few things today to show, the audience members that are watching this show.
Sweet.
Some of the equipment we use during investigation, and also how, how everything kind of works, and different pieces you can have that you can use to pick up paranormal evidence, basically.
And, Rick, we've been talking a while. We met on LinkedIn the same way. And we've talked about things, and you showed me some really cool footage of some of the amazing hauntings that they actually investigated that are unreal. Like, the evidence is there. You can't deny it. It's there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the most incredible ones. I mean, you probably have many, but let's focus on, one, and then Melissa, I'm going to get to how you are connected with the gear and how your psychic medium ability works with that.
That
And how
sounds
many
great.
people do you have in your troop here?
There's actually three of us.
Three of us.
So
Yep.
there's Joshua, Melissa, and myself.
Yes.
So we did have a fourth person at one time, but now it's just the three of us. So we actually work, real well together.
And
Exactly.
each one has a different job that you guys do?
Yes.
Specifically?
Yeah.
Yes.
We each kind of have our own thing, but at the same time we also work together as a team. Just going through using different apparatuses to conduct our investigation. Setting up equipment and doing things like that.
Nice.
Now, you had
So-
mentioned you got a background in UFOs, too?
Yes. I'm a certified. I'm actually the executive director for ERC, which stands for Extraterrestrial Research Center. I'm also the director of investigations, and I'm also a researcher, UFO researcher, or UAP, if you want to use it, which is a more common term now.
So cool.
So,
So is that the term that most people identify what you guys do as, from the movie Ghostbusters is kind of what you guys are?
yeah, pretty much, except there's some similarities, except with the Ghostbusters, they're actually trying to get rid of the spirits.
Right.
They're
Exactly.
these goofy kind of spirits that you see
Yeah.
that are
Plasma.
mischievous
Yeah.
and doing
Yes.
things like that, and they're trying to get rid of them with
Yeah.
their their
Right.
stuff. So we are dealing with paranormal entities. However, we're not trying to expel them from
Yes.
the premises.
That's a job for
Exactly.
somebody
Yeah.
else then? Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
If
if
they're
somebody
really
else wanted to
causing-
do that, we don't really
Right.
do that. We're just there to capture paranormal
And
activity.
who mostly does that? Is that the church does that kind of thing? If it's the demonic thing?
Well, I mean, it can be. I mean, it really kind of depends.
Yeah, he's running into some
Sometimes people will have,
Yeah.
ghosts that are living in the house. It could be like loved ones that passed away. It could have been someone that lived there before they bought the property that passed away at one time. Could be like Indian burial ground or something like that.
Yes.
Or it could have been that the house that was built on this land, it was built on a cemetery, and then there's some kind of,
Okay.
spiritual activity, from,
Yeah.
a certain, maybe it could be a tribe of Indians or
Yeah.
other kind of people
Right.
that
Certain
passed
time
away.
period. Yes.
So there's a number of things,
Okay.
but basically, we don't come in really as, to do any kind of exorcisms or
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if somebody asks us to, Melissa's really good with this kind of thing. I mean, if we were going to,
Really?
sage a house or a property or something, we talked about,
Gotcha.
Yes.
using sage and some,
Yeah.
holy oil,
Oil.
holy water, that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
And going through room to room to do a blessing to try to remove
Right.
any negative spirits. But other than that, there have been cases where people have demonic activity has been found that is,
that's
in
amazing.
the home.
Yes.
So what would you
So-
say was one of your most amazing ones that you've investigated? Like the most, I know you had many.
We've had a
But we-
lot.
We're
yes.
going to
Yeah.
narrow it down because we're doing a show. But what would be one that was like,
Mind blowing.
this is
Yeah.
me.
That sticks out in
Yeah.
your
this
mind,
happened.
like,
this is
Yeah.
real. Am I really seeing this? Am I really experiencing this?
Yes.
What would
Yeah.
you say would be if you had to pick one of those?
That's a tough question because
Oh yeah.
there's so many places that we investigated
Sure.
that we've captured a lot of
Yes.
good evidence, right? We've got
Yeah.
a lot of good things.
Definitely.
Right.
Every place is kind of a little bit
different.
different what we
unique.
pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
And
understand that.
So, but I will say the last investigation we went to was a place called Bub's Brewery. I can't
Ooh.
remember what's the name of
Yes.
the city in Pennsylvania.
What is that called? My goodness, it'll come to me
Okay.
later. My goodness, but it's spelled BUBE apostrophe
Yeah,
S.
do you remember the name of the city though?
I can't remember offhand. It will come to me though.
Yeah, I forgot the
Yes.
name of it too. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've been to so many cities; it's hard to keep track of these
Yes.
things. But when we went into that place, it was very active. There was a lot of
Yeah,
paranormal
yeah.
activity that was found.
Nice.
It's actually like it's like a restaurant, a tavern, and a hotel. Like everything
Yes.
just kind of all wrapped in one.
Okay.
And there's a lot of old history there. We went into this one place that was called the Catacombs. Okay.
Okay, cool.
And when you go in, it's really pretty cool because it's like it almost looked kind of like a tunnel, right?
Yes.
It's like got these, it's got this round kind of shape on the sides,
Right.
and it's made out of these
Like
really
stone,
old, like stones.
Stone, yes.
And then there's these recessed
Wow.
areas that they can place candles in.
Yes,
Right?
they have
Neat.
tables set up. You can dine down there. It almost like it looks like you're dining in like a haunted tunnel, if you will. So it's
Okay.
pretty, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's the video footage I believe
Yeah.
you or Joshua sent me.
Yeah.
Was that?
Well, that particular day,
pretty amazing,
was
yeah.
crazy, because we were doing a spirit box session, which we call the Warner or the Chairs
Chairs
Warner
Warner.
method.
Nice. Okay.
And basically, what that is we are using a device called a spirit box, which is it's basically, think of it like an AM/FM radio, okay?
Right.
And
Frequencies.
it's sweeping different frequencies
Yep.
on the FM channel, on the AM channel,
Nice.
and you can run through different speeds if you want to go slow or you want to go fast. So it's a little bit different listening to radio, because radio you just kind of dial it in and it
Right.
stays there.
Right. Yep.
This thing will just keep running through the channels, and basically what you're trying to do as you're asking questions to the spirits, you're trying to get them to communicate through this device using what
Wow.
we call like white noise.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which I've heard before, white noise.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And the
EVP
cool thing
sessions,
is that, I mean, you have to kind of be careful when you're listening to certain things. So sometimes you hear somebody talking, and it might be part of a talk show or somebody
Radio.
announcing something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've actually picked up on one investigation where the lady was, basically just saying, fuck you, a couple times.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, I
Right.
can't believe I just heard that, right? That was on there, because
Wow.
they're not going to do that on
Yes.
the radio, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Nope.
And it was just, clear as a blue sky. It was on there. You can hear a voice saying
Right.
that. And
Wow.
but the last one we did in the catacombs, Melissa had a pair of headphones on and blindfolds.
Right. Yep. I
And the
saw that.
idea is
Yeah.
that she can't hear what the questions are
Question
that
you're
we're
asking.
asking spirits, because she has the volume loud enough with the noise canceling headphones
Wow.
to block out what we're asking her.
Yes.
And in many
That's
instances,
amazing.
when we
That's-
were asking questions,
Yeah.
we were getting an answer from her that she was picking up from the spirits
Wow.
that she was
Yes.
connecting with. Because when we were asking, most people, they'll just kind of go on and they're trying to listen for something. We actually she was actually using the power of holding a crystal in her hand, and she was actually tuning in
Right.
to see what kind of spirit communication she could get back.
To enhance, yes.
To
Are
enhance
you
it.
using
Yes.
a quartz?
I might have been using a quartz, and I believe I was using an amethyst as well.
Got you.
So, because I know each crystal has its own properties,
Yes.
and certain ones represent. So, amethyst, for instance, represents like psychic abilities. So it enhances that. So whatever we can get to, to get those answers, whatever can help us.
Right.
But we truly have had some amazing experiences. One that sticks out in my mind the most is last year we investigated the Sanderson Museum in Chaddsford, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
This was during our world's largest ghost hunt, where we were live streamed pretty much all over the world.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so cool.
At the time, we were a team of 4, and we were upstairs on the 2nd floor. There's 2 floors to this museum. Rick and I had to come downstairs to get a piece of equipment, and we cannot, to this day, figure out why all of our belongings, we're talking hoodies, boxes of equipment, heavy items were moved at the bottom of the staircase. Something was barricading us in, and for today,
Wow.
for the
To
life
keep
of
us from going downstairs.
Yes.
How about it?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So so we're walking down the stairs, okay,
Wow.
and we're looking at each other like,
We look like,
why is this at the bottom of the
how
stairs?
did this happen?
So we're asking our director, Joshua Chairs, we're saying,
Wow.
did you put this stuff here? He's like, no, I didn't do it.
We were upstairs, all
And then
of us.
and then the girl that was there, we had
How
asked
about
her
it?
if she did it, and
Yeah.
they were upstairs the whole time anyway.
Right.
So we're thinking, you know what? Maybe there's somebody that's at the bottom level of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
stairs.
yeah.
Right.
So I go around looking to see, hey, and I'm calling out, is there anybody here walking
Right. We
around?
were checking the doors
maybe
to make
nobody
maybe
sure.
somebody's playing a joke or doing
Right.
something, and there was nobody there.
Yes.
So we go back upstairs, right, and using the dowsing rods, I think we were using dowsing rods, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're asking this spirits questions like, are you trying to keep us trapped in here? Like, what's going on? The answer came back, no.
Wow.
But then we asked, like, well, is this like some kind of joke? Did you think this was funny? And it was answering, yes. Meaning that
Really?
it was
Yes.
like
Playing with you.
pranksters
Yes.
basically
How about it?
pranking us.
Exactly. And also, I think the most compelling piece of evidence that night, Joshua, we were doing an EVP session with our recorders.
Okay.
And he asked the spirit, are you trying to keep us upstairs? Are you trying to use our equipment to barricade us and keep us up here? Clear as day. We have it on our phantomdetectives.org website. Clear as day, this EVP, we captured a woman saying, "Be afraid."
Wow.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
something so clear.
Wow.
It's still, it's amazing.
It's really amazing the stuff that you could pick up. I mean, when
Yeah.
you go on an investigation.
Yes.
And I will actually have to say that where other teams sometimes go on investigations and come out empty-handed,
Yeah.
we always capture something.
Something. We always
Always
have
get
something.
something.
Yes.
And
Let's hold-
that's because how we interact with the spirits. Basically.
Yes.
Let's hold that thought with Rick and Melissa. When we come back, we're going to talk about, actually going to be demonstrated with some awesome
Yes.
gear of the paranormal. Real stuff here, guys. This is an amazing thing. And we're going to talk about how Melissa connects with these devices with her abilities when we come back.
Are you going to move our equipment back before the night's over again?
And we're back with
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Rick and Melissa. And what a cool first
It's good to be
segment,
back.
Rock Dude, that we just talked about.
Some of their actual experiences that they had in the
Yes.
field.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now we got some gear that they're going to demonstrate for us, Rock Dude. What do you think? How cool is this? Real paranormal gear. Let's start with you, Melissa, what you have in your hand. What is that?
Okay. Well, actually, Rick, this is mostly something that Rick uses during our investigations. These
Love
are
it.
lights. These are lights used during filming, and there are different colored lights. I know,
Very
Rick, you
cool.
could explain
Yeah,
this a little
so
bit better.
basically, so this is a recording rig that I use. There's an exterior microphone here.
Yep.
This actually plugs into, I use my iPhone 12 Pro Max to record in.
Gotcha.
Okay, and
Okay.
that goes in this clamp in here like this.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And here you see there's 4 blocks. Okay, each one of these blocks are magnetic.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Cool.
So I can put like that. They stick together like this.
Very neat. Yeah.
And all I do is there's some switches here that are in the back.
Wow.
And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on here and show you guys how this works.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get to the same color.
Yeah, show.
So
Definitely.
right now I'll show you, here's a color green. Okay, so we got, so you can see there's a LED lights in green. Okay, and I'll try to shine that on my face. Can you guys can see some green color shining on me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you won't see it as much now because in
Yeah.
the dark, these green LED lights are just going to really pop. But since we're in the light right now, you won't see them as much. But I could switch to blue. I could switch to purple, red. There's all kinds of colors I can just...
And what is the
By flip-
significance of this in the paranormal investigation?
Well, basically what this is, how we came up with this, is that, so most of the investigating that goes on paranormal investigations are done during the dark, taken in the dark.
Right.
Okay, so most of the time when we are going through and doing an investigation, we would keep a flashlight with us so we don't trip on any kind of cords or trip on each other for that matter.
Right.
And, we would go that way. And before, when we record, we just use the regular camera light, which is just the regular, just a regular white light. So what's nice about this is they're actually colored LED lights. So not only are you able to see the subject that you're filming,
Right.
but it makes it more interesting. So instead of just having the same old
Yeah,
kind of white light
I
and
get
make
it.
it boring,
I get it.
it gives it a little bit of flavor because you're incorporating some really cool colors. into
Creating
the
a
shot.
mood.
Yes.
Yeah, it creates a mood. So like say,
Right.
sometimes we'll film in blue, sometimes red, green, cyan, purple, that kind of thing.
Now, do the
So,
colors have effect on these entities or these spirits to any degree, or does it make a difference?
It doesn't, I would say it doesn't really make a difference. I don't think it does in any way, really.
Okay.
It's more in communicating with them, and if they are willing to communicate with us at that said time.
Yep.
And if they want to communicate with us by, us asking questions, doing an EVP session,
Yeah.
or some other stuff. And I have some other equipment here I'd love to show you guys if I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then we'll definitely get to Melissa on her connection
I'll
with
set this right here.
her psychic abilities. Absolutely. What do you
Okay,
got
so here's
All right, next up we
I'm gonna
have,
show you.
you got a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, I got some more equipment here to show you guys. Okay, so here's some basic equipment that people can start out with in a paranormal investigation. This is called a K2 meter, and what it does is it measures EMF, okay, electromagnetic
Wow.
fields.
Yep.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and it's measured in milligauss. Okay, so like when you turn it on, okay, you can see all these lights that come on in different colors.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you know it'll pick up certain electrical things. Now, if you put it next to like a microwave, or you put it next to a refrigerator, especially if it's leaking any kind of like EMF,
Oh, okay.
Energy.
It'll pick it up.
it'll set this off.
Got
So
it. Okay.
now, if there's not an electrical field, there's not a microwave, not something electrical, and you're going into the room, we'll take this device and we'll just kind of scan it. Okay, like right now, it's just kind of reading low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It might be picking up something from.
There's so
you
much
know,
equipment
the
in
stuff
here,
here.
right?
Probably.
But
Yeah.
when you're not going around equipment and this thing really goes off, it'll go up
And
into,
some kind of spirits around, or some
Yeah,
kind
it'll-
of.
it'll go
Yes.
up into the orange and the red. So you'll
Yes.
see these
Got
numbers trigger and go
Yes.
off.
When they
Is
really
this-
spike, you know that
Yes.
something's in the room.
Yeah,
yes.
This
Times
is
we
called a
absolutely-
K2 meter.
There are times when there's like, oh, there's really nothing happening here. Does that
Yes,
happen?
yes. Sometimes you go in a room and you might have one of these and you're not picking up something.
Zero.
Something else we have here is a simple kind of a little thing. This is just a basic digital recorder, okay?
Okay.
And the digital recorders what we use is what we call EVP sections.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yep.
Electronic voice phenomenon.
Yep. Yep.
And so what you do is you turn on your recorder, and while you're asking questions, everybody else around you doesn't say anything. It's quiet.
Mm.
We'll go through in a room and we'll talk to a spirit and say, thank you for having us here today. And hope you don't mind us asking you guys, you spirits, a few questions. Is there any spirit in here that wants to communicate with us? Could be a basic question. Or is there more than one spirit that's present in this home?
Right.
Just
Is there,
questions like
is there
that.
anything you would like to tell us? You
Right.
know,
Mhm.
yes, we're open to listening to you. This is your time. And the number one thing is it has to be complete silence because these will pick up absolutely everything. And sometimes when we go and we
Wow.
review
I
our
see.
evidence, you have to really,
It's really
okay.
sensitive.
Yes.
You
It's
have
like-
to listen to it. So that's why
Yeah.
we'll do like what we call like a phantom time, which is
Yeah.
our quiet time.
we say it's phantom time. Everybody.
where
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
take turns asking questions,
Yes.
but we can hear ourselves in the recording asking questions.
Yes.
But what we're looking for is for the spirits to latch themselves on to these devices
Yes.
Right.
and to try to answer questions. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it could be like a short sentence or a longer sentence.
Yep.
So that
yep.
sounds like a good way to communicate with the spirit through that device
Yeah,
there.
Yes.
yeah. Like the last
audio.
one we did, we were getting some. There were scratching noises I was picking up in my
Oh,
EVP.
wow.
And there was a dog that had passed away there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also hear some barking and stuff. Well, we didn't hear any barking when we were conducting our investigation. And if we didn't hear it in that room, the recorder shouldn't have picked it up unless there was something really there.
Right.
Is there like a starting point? You get into a situation, you say, well, can you let us know you're here? That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, we'll ask for some kind of communication thing.
Yes. So, and that can even happen. The spirits can communicate with some of the other equipment that Rick is going to show.
Okay.
It'll make it easier for them to say, "Hey, we're here." So,
Right.
So
yes.
this particular device,
That looks neat.
okay, this thing here is called a V3. It's a REM pod. And basically what happens is you can see how this,
Sensitive. Very.
Yes.
like right now, let's see if I can just set this down. Okay, I'm not doing anything, but if I cross the
It's gonna,
field,
it's gonna pick it up. Yeah.
see how it's sensitive that it goes
Mhm.
off?
Yes.
So it has a little antenna here to make it sensitive. So you see these little colored lights, show you
Yeah.
guys, that it's going off.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really cool device for picking up
Yeah.
Yes.
paranormal
So that
equipment.
being said, we want to be well away from our equipment, so it isn't just us walking by. You know what I mean? We try to keep everything as authentic as possible.
Got
so
you.
yes.
Okay.
Now, here's another little, what I
That's
call a
cool.
lantern REM
Yeah.
pod. And basically, it looks like just a regular outdoor lantern, and that's what it was at one time,
Yeah.
until, this was modified to be used as a paranormal piece of
Love
equipment.
it.
So, this one's mine. Melissa has one as well. Hers has different colored lights than this
Nice.
one. But you turn this on basically, and when you turn it on, there's this one's not as loud as the other one I had, but you can see how when I touch it, there's like little LED lights that
Yeah,
are
they're
going
catching
off.
the frequency and the vibration.
So basically the idea is that if there's something paranormal latching onto it, this thing will actually start going on.
Right.
Yes.
Very cool.
So it's a very similar concept to the last piece of equipment that Rick has shown.
Right.
We want to stay well away from it. We try to spread our pieces of equipment out in the room because, again, I try to debunk everything possible. Let's make sure it isn't going off because it's near electrical equipment. Let's make sure it isn't going off because these pieces of equipment are too close to each other.
Yeah.
So all of us, we really try to keep it as authentic and real as possible.
I love it. That's
So,
great.
so we try to move.
So the logic, you get all
Yeah.
the logic out of the way.
Yes.
So this way you can say, well, this is something really happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the weird thing is that, okay, when you go into a paranormal investigation, you really don't know what pieces of equipment are going to be set
Right.
up.
They
Yes.
select.
Because you have to kind of think of them like children.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when the children come into a room, and let's say there's a chest of toys.
Let me describe this real quick.
That
Yeah.
That we're
Yes.
talking
child.
Yes, this is a great example.
Yeah, that's another one. Okay.
Yes.
Like
Which
this
I
one
think we're
here.
talking about, right?
Yeah, this is called the scare
Scare
bear.
bear.
Okay.
Scare bear.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
And what happens is
Scare
that if
Oh, there's a such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great.
if it gets touched by a spirit, okay, you can see how it's going off. It's
Yeah.
a little. You can see it really good at night, gang, but you won't see it good here in this light. But in the dark, trust me, you're going to see colored lights at the feet,
Yeah.
and it just you can see like a red light right in there going off.
Yeah.
So that's called the scare bear, and sometimes we've had this go off on some investigations, and other investigations we haven't. And this thing here is something else that we use quite a bit. This is made by a company called Ghost Stop, and this is called a spirit box. It looks just like an AM/FM radio.
Yeah, kind of.
It's got an antenna on it,
Oh,
as you
yeah.
can see.
Look at that.
Okay, and you
Transistor
turn.
radio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you turn this on, okay, and this lights up.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it says scanning FM, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll hit the scan button. I'll turn the volume down. So basically, right now, it's scanning different stations. See that?
Yeah.
Now you can adjust the speed to go slower. Right now it's on one, but there now I have it on like that's on level 5.
Do you expect one of the spirits to start talking through this, perhaps?
Yeah, so basically
White
you can
noise.
go.
Yeah, it is.
Shut this off so
Yeah.
you guys can hear me.
You get the
But
concept.
basically, what's happening is, so think of like a regular AM/FM radio, but this has an SD card, okay?
Okay.
And
Wow.
so right here, let me see if I can show you where it's at. Okay, so
Yeah, Rock, dude, I never knew there was this many devices for paranormal.
There's a
activity.
Yeah.
little-
Oh, there's so much more. Yeah.
there's
yeah.
so right here where the volume at, there's a little compartment that you put an SD card in here, and this has the ability to record internally.
Wow.
So if a spirit was to communicate with us using this device,
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
as it's sweeping the AM
I love
FM
it.
channels, that will be picked up on
The card.
the SD card.
How about
Yes.
And then from there, what I can do is I can take this
Too cool.
and I can plug it into a card reader, or I can
Download
plug
it.
this into my computer,
Yeah.
and I could download the file and listen to it. Usually we'll put on like a set of headphones or something to listen to.
Yes.
Try to see what picks up.
Yes.
And sometimes, what you're doing is you're looking for any kind of communication that doesn't sound. You have to use a little bit of discernment. It takes some practice because
Yeah.
sometimes, you might hear somebody talking and that's just the guy on the radio station
Right.
saying the
Right.
next song.
You
Right.
have to be able to
So you have
discern
to use
it,
some discernment
Yes,
a little
yes.
bit.
So
that-
over
that can be a
time,
little
you get
challenging.
practice knowing what to
to listen for.
weed out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Melissa, let's talk about how you use your cell phone
Yes.
with your connective of psychic ability
Yes. So.
and these devices.
Yep. There's there's actually a few devices that I use. So this I usually keep on me.
And of course, you mentioned crystals in the beginning.
Yes, definitely.
As a tool.
Yes, to help and enhance communication.
Yes.
So this is a device called the Spirit Talk app. There's many different spirit apps that people may download. This I love the most. This I have great results with.
Wow.
So what happens is before I use any piece of equipment, we go into investigations and we call it the initial sweep. So the guys may come in with like the EMF, something very basic.
Right.
They may come in with an EMF and they may go around the room and see, if they're getting any hits on that. Where me, I'm coming in with no prior knowledge. I'm to know no knowledge about the history of the location. I say I go in there blindly.
Yeah.
Because again, I always stress accurate as possible.
Right.
So the
I like
first
that.
thing I come in with is a notebook and pen. That is my main piece of equipment, and I am jotting down everything I'm tuning into.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
Joshua especially, I mean, he knows the history of the locations that we investigate. I mean, from
Nice.
top to bottom. So I start off with my notebook and pen, and I tune into everything that I'm picking up on.
Wow.
And then through my Spirit Talk app especially, I will start getting hits. Words will start popping up that will verify what I'm tuning into. So for instance, if I'm picking
Wow.
up on the spirit of a child, the word baby may come up.
Oh, gotcha. So I see how it gives you hints or something.
So
You know what
so
you're dealing with.
it gives her
Yeah.
confirmation.
Yes,
of
it's
things she's picking
confirmation.
up.
So it's like I'll tune into it first, and then later on these words will come up.
Wow.
So, and then what happens is, like the example that Rick used, later on, other pieces of equipment will verify what I've tuned into as well. So, for instance, we went into an apartment in Philadelphia, and the first person I picked up on, an angry woman, she did not want us in there.
Wow.
I feel that she
How
was a
about it?
prior resident.
Right.
And I said, this woman, she just has an attitude. She does not want us in here. We are invading her space. So later on, we used that ghost box, and that's when we were getting cursed at.
Oh, how
It was a
about it?
female's
She's
voice
pissed
telling
off.
us, yes.
Literally.
So that is, yeah. So it's interesting
Is
how.
there a point when, for example, it doesn't, you think it might not be safe to be at the location, or?
There have been times where I'd say at least twice, maybe
Question.
3 times, where I wouldn't say that maybe it isn't safe, but you're just feeling a lot of
Negativity. Right.
because in the spirit world you're going to have nice spirits and you're going to have not so nice spirits.
Kind
I
of
mean,
like I was telling you earlier about
Yes.
they were a jerk when they were alive, and
Yes.
they're a jerk while they're dead.
They're still the
Exactly.
same.
Yeah, still the same jerk.
and they may that negativity we may start
I
to
like
feel.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
we've gone in
Good-
there
good
feeling.
way to put it.
Yes.
And
sick.
sometimes
Uh-huh.
too, like our last investigation.
Now, the main thing we do know, if
Yeah.
the spirit was murdered, that's the problem.
It could be. Ooh,
Uh-oh.
That's all right.
we had the last investigation we were at, and it kind of hit me the worst, and it hit Melissa later. But we were at this lady's house conducting an investigation. It was like would you say, like a ranch house kind of thing with a. They
It's a
had
farmhouse, yeah.
a farmhouse with
Yes.
with the barn and a bunch of animals
Wow.
and a bunch of horses and things
Cool.
like that. So we were doing an outdoor investigation and going through the barn, and then we made our way in the house. Well, the minute I walked into the house, I felt a heaviness over my entire body. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
I felt a heaviness in my chest.
Yep.
I felt like it was hard to breathe. And yeah, it was a little bit hot because she didn't have
She didn't have AC, and you
she
figured
didn't have
it's
the AC and there was fans going, but at the same time, it was even
Spirits are moving. you.
Yes,
It-
yeah,
it
the
was
spirits are like, we're
actually-
Yeah.
here.
in this house, and I'm saying, man, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of sick right now. I was feeling this sickly feeling, like
Yeah.
almost like, and I'm a pretty healthy person. I eat good, I work out a lot, and I'm feeling this heaviness, like in my chest, like the worst I've ever felt in any investigation.
wow.
And they're asking me, like, you okay? I go, I don't know, man, I'm feeling a little lightheaded right now, and it was a little bit warm, so I know the temperature might affect it a little bit, but I knew it was more than that. I could just feel it in my bones.
Yeah,
There's something in this
some-
house that's sucking the life out of me.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't until we did, we connected, we did the Warner Chair Spirit Box session.
Yep, I had the blindfold and I had the headphones on, and I
Yeah.
was seeing what was coming out of that ghost box with the white noise.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, she was all
Yes.
connected to that, and we were asking questions, and we had gear, we had our digital recorders on as well as other gear, trying to see what we could pick up. And she couldn't see a thing. And she mentioned during our session, the Spirit Box session, that she was feeling a heaviness that was in her chest,
Wow.
and almost like it was a little bit hard to breathe.
Yeah.
You remember
Yep.
picking that
Yep.
up?
Yep.
Yes.
And I could
Okay.
tell by looking at her that she looks like she was like a
Getting
person who's
winded.
drained.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like something was sucking the energy out of her.
Yes.
Wow.
So then I knew it wasn't just me. I knew
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
happening to
Yep.
her as well.
Yes, exactly. And I was holding crystals to intensify that. So yeah, so we use everything that we possibly can. I
Yeah.
mean, all of our resources. So yeah, so it is interesting that what I tune into later on, our equipment somehow confirms it. And Joshua again knows the backstory. So it's
Yeah.
like putting together a piece of a puzzle. It all
Amazing.
comes together. It's really cool how
Now
that
we
works.
touched based on stories and equipment.
Yes.
Now, what got you guys interested in this kind of thing to begin with as younger individuals?
Very good question. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, okay, so for me personally, I've always been interested in anything the paranormal. If it was ghosts, spirit activity in that, haunted houses, that kind of thing, and also extraterrestrial events. And sometimes too they cross paths with one another. It's another thing I want to
Yep.
mention.
I guess if you're
So
into
sometimes the
horror movies and
extraterrestrial
stuff, that
can
might
cross.
enhance it. Horror movies and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
UFOs
and
or
see,
aliens
and
or
coming with Melissa's background,
science
basically.
fiction.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
ties in together.
Yes.
Yeah, and as far as Melissa goes, I mean, being a psychic medium, she's always been able to tune in to people's loved ones that passed away and that kind of thing, and picking up somebody that passed away in a particular house or certain events and things that she felt that occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So she's able to bring in her talents as a psychic medium into the investigation. So, ghost hunting isn't for everybody. There's some people that are, terrified of the
Oh, you're looking
idea.
for dead
A lot
people.
of it, yeah.
Looking for
because
dead people.
they're
Yeah.
thinking like,
Yeah.
communicate with the dead, which is really,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are communicating with dead people.
Yes.
And the thing is, honestly, we've actually been pretty fortunate that we haven't had any really scary situations, but there's sometimes teams will come in and they've had, their backs, somebody,
Scratch their back.
scratch
or,
their back
yeah.
or slap their back and
Yes.
left the hand mark or scratches
Yeah.
all over their back or
Yep.
try to
So that
push them
stuff really
downstairs.
does go on.
That stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
lord.
It does.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
could have, it's people that think that
I'll be running into the hills at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
it's not all just people we're talking about here. We're talking about people. We're talking about people's
Entities.
pets, dogs,
Yes.
cats,
Yep.
Yes.
horses, animals that have passed away.
Right.
And then you have, on the darker side, then you have demonic entities
Yeah.
that could be in a dwelling.
Absolutely.
It could have been somebody that lived in that house. Maybe they were doing some bad things with the occult, and
Right,
using
oh, yeah.
Ouija boards and,
Yes.
and getting into black magic and that kind of thing. And that is
Drawing,
attracting
That energy.
evil.
Exactly.
Evil entities.
Exactly. Because there has been a time where prior to an investigation, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have all kinds of things going on. I'm capturing all kinds of things on my home camera. I'm capturing orbs, but however, I've captured some scary faces, and I've taken a look at those images, and I said, you know what? I think somebody was playing around with something in that house prior to you guys moving in, and the homeowners actually researched the history and found that one of a prior owner was playing with a Ouija board. And, you know, I have heard people playing with spirit boards, and it's okay, but there is a right way to go about it. They must have left open a portal or something. You have to be careful with that stuff. You got to know how
They're dangerous.
Yes, exactly. So I actually had the client do a house clearing. I showed the client how to do a house clearing prior to us going in there.
Right.
You know, and we were so much better for it, and obviously they were too, because it definitely toned things down.
Because that reminds me, because I did a photo shoot at the church in Valley Forge Park, and there's a lot of activity in that graveyard and all, and orbs came up in my photos, no doubt about it.
How about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of orbs,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so I was telling Marky Z about, hey, you know what, man? Like one particular night, okay, because there's, you know, we got these 2 dogs, and then there's these big kennels they sleep in at night.
Yep.
And so usually they're pretty good about coming in,
Right.
you know. But one dog, you know, in particular,
Yeah.
she didn't want to go in the kennel.
No.
Right? A little bit nervous about going in and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I wanted to record, you know, how playful the dog gets,
Yep.
and how it's kind of funny how she doesn't want to go in. So I'm recording this, not looking for anything or whatever, and all of a sudden as I'm recording, I go, man, I just saw 2 orbs fly by, right?
Yeah.
So 2 orbs fly by, and then, you know, I'm going through, I'm thinking, wow, I'm really picking up some stuff here.
Yep.
And then I'm like, hey, if there's a spirit in here, can you make those orbs fly by again? All of a sudden, you could see a whole flurry of them.
Yep.
And these, somebody might think like, okay, well, maybe it's a reflection or something. No, because
bubbles.
reflected,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was nobody blowing bubbles.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
12 midnight or
Yeah.
something.
I mean, I used to blow bubbles, but I put away my bubble blowing hobby about a week ago.
Yeah, yeah.
No, so what happens
Large
is
welcome.
you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
these lights instead of, so like a reflective light, like when you see a light reflection of something,
Yes.
you could tell it's like if I took a you know, like right now I'm looking at the picture on the wall, I could see a reflection of light on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now if you took that picture and off the wall and tilted it, you could reflect that light to move with
Right.
to
See,
move
there's
around.
obvious places in a
Right.
photograph from photography. You know where the shiny metal and the stuff like the metallic
Exactly.
stuff on your photograph.
Right.
If
Yeah.
someone's holding
Yeah.
a guitar or something,
Yep.
when it's
Yeah.
someplace other than the metallic part,
Right.
you know it's
Yeah, or
real
if you're
deal.
shooting outside and you got lens flare caused by the sun,
Exactly.
you
yes.
know that's lens flare,
Yes.
and
right.
it's
Right.
not
It
like
isn't,
a
it isn't
UFO
an
or.
orb.
So
Yes.
you get shiny stuff like in parts of your photograph that ain't supposed to be there in
Yeah.
different areas.
Yeah.
See, these were actually balls of light that, you know, would float across in these
Yeah.
patterns
Right.
like this.
It's a very intelligent way. It isn't an insect.
You're bringing me
you know,
right
that
back
doesn't-
to
Flying
the
everywhere.
Hey,
Valley
Rob,
Forge Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock,
yeah.
dude, I
crazy.
want to let you know something. I'm going to let you guys know as well. We have the footage of this, and we will feature
Yeah,
it
and
on
you know
this
what?
show. So
You guys are
don't
gonna-
go nowhere.
You guys are gonna love the footage of the orbs that I sent to Rocky Z,
Yeah.
because these things are unreal, man. I mean,
Yes.
you see them flying
It's
across
amazing.
the screen,
It truly is.
It's
and it's
blown away.
real.
It
It's
really
one of
is.
those things when you capture evidence and you didn't know what's gonna happen.
And we
Yes.
have more evidence.
Now, Mark, we could take a break, I guess, at this point, but I want to come back and talk a little bit about UFOs, if we may, because we got the experts sitting here.
Sure, definitely.
tell you
we
what.
can do that.
Scare Bear says, "Don't you go anywhere. We have more scary things to discuss."
Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
Come on, honey. Come on. Let's go. Go to bed. Wow, there's definitely orbs in here. There's definitely orbs in here. There's some spirits here. Can you make your orbs fly across the screen again? There we go. Wow.
Rick Warner, Melissa Ferrazano,
This is a special episode of the Gearheads, you know.
and we're going to talk about the connection of paranormal and extraterrestrials, as we have Rick Warner is also a executive director of ERC, Extraterrestrial Research Center. Let's talk about this,
Okay,
brother.
sounds good, man. What would you like to know?
Well, Brian, I
Well,
think you have a
here's the
question.
question. I mean,
The
I
big
guess
question.
the common question is, what do you make of Area 51? Are we reverse engineering there, and do extraterrestrials really do exist? That's the thing.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know, there's people that you know, there's reverse engineering that goes on today in secret locations. Not just Area 51, but there's other places as well.
Right.
And you know, as far as Area 51 goes, you know, it has been said that there was reverse engineering that was done there by a guy by the name of Bob Lazar. Some people tried to defame his credentials and say that he didn't go to school where he said he went to and all this kind of stuff, and they erase information. But you know, there's people that could, you know, say that, you know, his all his schooling data had been like wiped off. So like,
Well,
it's like if somebody wants to erase you from where you said you worked for this company or you
Yeah.
went to this school, that
They
could
will find a
easily
way.
be done if they don't want stuff getting out there.
Yep.
So, but I will say this, you know, you're going to have people that believe that in extraterrestrial events or UFOs. Now, more commonly, you hear the term called UAP, Unidentified Area Phenomenon or
Yes.
Phenomena.
Yes, that is what the term in it now, I
Yeah,
believe.
and so
Yeah.
the way you kind of have to look at it is that, so 80% of what's seen out there can be attributed to either something which is a man-made object, like, for an example, could be a military aircraft, or could be a plane, or it could be a weather phenomenon,
Yep.
some kind of a natural phenomenon.
Yep.
So there's many things that sometimes it could be the other
Perhaps
natural phenomena.
a satellite, maybe.
Yeah, it could be satellite. You know, something you're seeing, a star can appear to be something extraterrestrial.
Or just a generic aircraft could.
Or even a planet, you know, even a
Yeah.
planet. Or the way you move. Like, let's say, like, for an example, when you're going through the mountainside, going through, you know, you're driving your car, you're going around a bunch of hills and turns, and you see the moon, right? Okay, and you see the moon, and it's over here, but now it's over here.
Right.
It's all over the place. You're thinking, okay, well, you're thinking the moon is moving. Well, it's still in the same spot, but when you move, it makes things look like it's moving. So if you're
Right.
standing in the bushes
Yes.
and you see a really bright star up there, let's say it's Betelgeuse, you're looking at this very bright star, or you're looking at the planet Venus or Mars or something like that, and all of a sudden you're moving your head like this, you're bobbing and weaving. Well, as you move in and out, it makes that object appear to move, but it's not the object moving when it's in fact you moving. So if you have 80% that could be attributed to natural phenomenon or man-made craft, that leaves, there's 15 to 20% out there that isn't man-made, and you know, and there's a good chance that that is extraterrestrial. So you also need to think of the fact that not throughout, you know, so every day throughout the United States, all over the states, and including the world for that matter, there's people that capture through photographs, video camera recordings of things that are seen in the sky, you know, different extraterrestrial type events. And there's some things that just can't be explained. So if you can't explain something to a natural phenomenon or a man-made craft, that leaves you with something that can't be identified, and you just have to look at it that, you know, this has to be something extraterrestrial. The other thing to think about is, okay, so our planet, we're in the Milky Way galaxy, okay, which is like from point to point, like trillions of miles apart from end to end. And there's a lot of other planets out there. We just know a few of the basic planets, but there's billions of planets out there. And you know, there's probably millions and billions of galaxies out there that are all made of these galaxies that have all these other planets and that kind of thing. So, in my opinion, I think it's a little naive to think that of all the planets out there, okay, and all the solar systems, that we're the only planet
ones,
that
yes.
has any
Like life form, yeah.
yeah, any real life form, animals, people, you know, that kind of
Right,
thing.
yes.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. You have to look at the overall evidence, and you know, there's places all over the world that are spotting things all the time. And when you have reliable witnesses, okay, like you have military fighter pilots, okay, like the Nimitz thing, and
The Navy is a big one. It sees a lot of these sightings. The Navy,
Yes.
Yeah, it's a way that, you know, they were seeing the Tic Tac object and stuff like that. Then you have the called the USO, which is underwater submergible object. Where
So
someone go
in
under the water.
2022, we're finding out more. It's not so much we don't want to talk about it or cover it up. They're like coming out and telling us like we see things we don't know
can't
what it is.
explain,
Well,
right.
here's the real deal. Okay, what a lot of people
That's a whole new
what a lot
thing.
of people
Yes.
don't realize. Okay, one of the things the government is very good about doing, and that's covering up stuff. Okay, sometimes the government is. Sometimes it's covering up their own illegal activities or things that they do. And then there's certain things that the government doesn't want people to know. In the case with, you know, so before, you know, when you had the Project Blue Book and all that kind of stuff, they would say, oh, you know, there is no UFOs. It doesn't exist kind of thing.
They always try to have a logical
Because
explanation.
they want to
yeah.
cover that up
Yes.
because they don't want to get people freaked out. They don't want people to panic.
But Blue Book was mostly a misinformation campaign, basically.
Well, I mean, it was all, you know, done by the Air Force and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there was already credible stuff that was picked up by pilots and things like that. A lot of stuff was just blacked out. But, you know, and
There was real
a
documentation.
lot of
on
people
Blue
don't
Book.
realize that the CIA, the FBI, and the DOD, you know, have been conducting for a while now investigations into our UFOs are really out there. You know, what's out there, and doing that. So even when Clinton was president at the time, Bill Clinton, you know, they had a task force that was doing that, and the FBI was behind doing investigations, the CIA and all that. So you have all these organizations that were conducting their own investigation, and just
Right.
recently you had these public hearings that are talking about stuff. So this is nothing new. This has been going on for a long time. The only reason you're hearing about it more is because there's been a lot more sightings than there ever was before.
Yes.
Yes.
And, you know, you could only brush stuff under the rug so long. You could only keep people
In the dark.
in
yeah.
the dark so long. But it comes to a point where now, when you have so much
Evidence.
mounting evidence,
Right, yeah.
stuff that's out there,
It speaks
Yes.
for itself.
it
Yes,
speaks for itself.
exactly.
It's
Can't
like
deny it.
Yes.
now, you know, we have all this evidence, stuff like that. You know, people aren't stupid, so you can't brush this stuff under the rug forever.
No.
So that's why now, you know, they're opening up little by
Little by little.
start talking more and more about stuff.
Right.
Because they're
Yeah.
under extreme pressure more now than ever
Exactly.
to get stuff out.
Yes.
Now, as far as we mentioned Bob Lazar, he actually has collaborators who work at, you know, Area 51 who validate, what he's saying is real. It's and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
and there's been other people too as well that have seen things.
test
I
pilots
was-
have come out and said Bob Lazar's story sounds legit.
Yeah, and there was a guy just recently, and I can't remember his name because I'm horrible with names, but there was a guy, and I saw him on the show, and he was at Area 51, and he kind of overheard a conversation, and he actually seen for himself that there was a extraterrestrial being that they were experimenting on. And he was, you know, like looking at this, and then you can hear him talking about stuff. And there's people that have claimed in the military that they've seen crashed. There's several people that have witnessed alien spacecraft that had crashed. And there's actual bodies and that kind of stuff. So, you know, you're going to have some people that they're just not going to believe anything no matter what. And that's okay.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, because some people, you may say, hey, you know, they may say, well, you know what, like,
Until I see
You're
it for
afraid.
myself.
If I don't-
for myself.
if I don't
Yes.
see God show up at my doorstep and shake my hand, I'm
And
not
then I
going to
don't
believe
believe,
it.
exactly.
That God
There's people
exists.
like that, and there are also people
Yeah.
that want to hide their fear
Yes.
by not believing. It
Yeah.
makes them
Yes.
safe in
Makes
their
them feel
little
safe.
world.
Yes,
Yeah.
They
exactly.
feel safe.
Now
Exactly.
here's a good question
That's true.
for you. Do you as aliens go, are they hostile, do you think? Are they friendly, or what is their motivation for contacting Earth, you think?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think, like right now, I mean, because you also have to look at the cases, the many cases that have been going a long time of people that have been, that
Abducted?
claim to have been
Mm-hmm.
abducted, have undergone hypnosis.
Right.
And you know, a lot of these stories are similar from
Yep.
different people that are what you call abductees or
Mm-hmm.
experiencers is
Yeah.
another
Yes,
word that's
yes,
used.
Yes, that's what I know.
And
Yes.
people that devices have been picked up on X-ray, implanted devices.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't shrapnel from, let's say, like if you're out in the war and you know, fighting on the front lines and a piece of shrapnel blew it and it got in
Right.
underneath your skin or something, that's one thing. But if you have, like, you know, things like little transmitters, you know, things like that, there's some crazy stuff that you know, sometimes they'll implant devices like between the thumb and this first finger here, like right in this meaty part. And there's times, sometimes it'll be in the neck, or there'll be people that have been abducted have submitted photographs. They looked at their skin where, you know, there'll be markings on the skin. Well, somebody could say, well, yeah, maybe that's something like a skin disorder.
Right.
Well, it could be, but then when you have dots into the shape of a triangle, okay, also if you have missing skin, like there's, sometimes there's scooped out skin that's
Yeah.
missing from the body, or certain scars,
Yeah.
Yep.
particular markings that are just like not the normal kind of thing.
Right, and if
you
more than
know?
one person, these people that have been abductees, they've got the same thing going on. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden, you know, somebody finds something that's the size of a round little BB that's taken out underneath your skin.
Right.
And sometimes these devices that have been found will have a membrane around it. Okay, a membrane
Yep.
that they can't even cut through the membrane of this
Oh,
stuff.
my
It's so
goodness.
tough.
Wow.
It's like a, you know, and when they'll take an EMF reader, and you know, basically when it's implanted in a person, you can hear it going off. You take that K2 meter, and it's the milligauss is going crazy. It's going high milligauss off of these meters. Where after the implant device is extracted,
Right.
now you're not getting
Anything, yeah.
anything coming back. You know, you're not getting any EMF.
So is it common knowledge that they're super more advanced than we are? Is that the thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely, because you know, they're much more way ahead of their time than what we have with the technology goes. So yeah,
Can I say something? I know some people believe that they are us in the future coming through a different dimension. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I can't really say that, but the fact that that they can fly at incredible speeds, which
Oh,
has
yeah.
already been shown on radar, how
Yeah.
we don't even have the technology that they have to be able to fly.
No.
And you know, you'll see like a videotape of what appears to be an extraterrestrial craft
Yeah.
flying, you know, darting back and forth at incredible speeds and not leaving any heat signature. And there's no exhaust or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
that's the
it's-
main thing I hear.
And that's like crazy. you know,
Exactly.
stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yes. I
Be
like
able to
that
change
monkey, yeah.
direction on a diamond and disappear.
Yeah,
Like,
Yes.
yeah,
gone.
and just jumping from place to place. Like
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Time travel. I was
It's
like, oh,
interdimensional.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Right, interdimensional is what I think
Yeah.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're coming in and out of a portal.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah.
believe-
But is the obvious thing we find is that the jump in technology has been quick to the point where there's no way we could have done that without knowing from some other place.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's other theories too about, you know, bending time
Yeah, yeah.
to where it's like if you took if you had a rubber pencil, and let's say here's from A to B, okay, but you take that rubber pencil, now you bend it.
Right.
it brings those 2 points closer together. So you're bending the time. That's time warping, basically.
Yes.
To be time warping to travel from one place to the next.
Einstein talked
What I
about
find
that.
interesting too, you go back to the original Star Trek series, the communicator is the cell phone.
Yeah.
You know,
Flip phone.
there's
Yes.
so many things
Yeah.
that you could go down the list on that
Yes.
original Star Trek. Like,
Yep.
did someone know something funny in the
Yes.
government, giving them information
Oh, yeah.
They were
or
just
something?
so ahead of the time.
I don't
so
know.
ahead
The
of that
writer
time.
on that was just like so far advanced
Yes.
on what was going on.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think of like, I mean, just our own technology alone,
It
You
jumped.
Yes.
Big time.
I mean, like,
Definitely.
microwaves have been around a very long time. I mean, now you can go to Walmart and you could buy a microwave oven for probably
$30.
less
Yeah.
than $100,
Yeah.
$100, depending on
That's
what
funny.
size it is.
Yeah.
Where when they first came out, you would pay hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it was
for
state of
that.
the art.
$1,000 some
Yes.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a new thing.
Yes.
And
I
only the
remember.
wealthiest people would be able to afford
Afford
that
that,
technology.
yes.
That's laughable. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point.
And the
Yeah.
microwave oven was designed by the Germans. I don't know if you've heard of that. I
No.
read that.
Interesting.
As
Wow.
a device to slowly kill populations.
Interesting. Well,
But I'm not the expert on it, but
But
speak
think
of
about
Germany,
that.
you know, back in World War II, the
were
the
very
Nazis
advanced.
had a take on a lot of this stuff, and
Yes.
they said they were involved with aliens heavy duty
yes.
too.
Yeah.
That's right,
I've
because
There's a
Hitler
whole thing
had
on that.
a big interest
Yes.
In that
and
sort of
the
thing.
UFO kind of
Yes.
thing. As a matter of fact, the Germans even built a type of a saucer, and they put some kind of.
Yep.
Some people thought maybe it was alien. I think they actually, just built it themselves and wanted to experiment with using the technology and stuff like that. But again, Hitler, he always had some kind of interest and a connection with the occult. He was
Right.
a big,
Yeah,
a
dude.
big believer in the occult,
yes.
telepathy, and psychic abilities, and that
Right.
you probably might even know more about that than me.
I don't really know the history too much about Hitler. I did hear that he was very in tune to that sort of thing, and
Yep.
yeah, very big into
And he
that.
thought if he had all the religious items like the from Jesus and the Last Supper and all that kind of stuff, he'd have all the power.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Holy
Yeah.
Grail, that kind
Yes,
of
Right.
that's what he was all about, with power. yeah.
or the Ark of the Covenant. That's
Right.
the big thing.
Yes.
And that is an amazing thing in
So
itself.
that was part of what he went
Let
around
me tell
looting
you.
all these things for, because he wanted to have them treasures as power
Power.
items.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
realize the Ark of the Covenant, how long ago that was, right? That literally has atomic properties. They've proven this through history.
Interesting.
Like nuclear back then. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Where'd that technology come from? Where do you guys think that technology
Yeah.
came from? Thousands of years ago before Christ.
So as we come to the end of our show, we want to thank you guys for telling us your
Absolutely.
story and rocking
Yes.
out.
It's
Coming
always
to the
good.
show. Appreciate all
Yes.
Yeah.
that. How do people find out if they need some help from you guys? Like,
Okay, well, if you want to find my website, I have a website called ERC, which stands for Extraterrestrial Research Center, and you can find my website by going to www.erc2explore. That's www.erc2explore.com.
Yes.
And from there, there's a lot of information and videos you can watch and educational material to learn about the field of ufology.
Wow.
And also, too, there's a section if somebody wants to report an abduction case or UFO sighting. That's something you can definitely do. Although we only accept certain cases that have either some video or photographic evidence, that kind of thing.
And what about
Phantom Detectives is on
Detectives.
Facebook.
PhantomDetectives.org. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's our
PhantomDetectives.org.
you can find us
Yeah.
on Facebook and on our website, www.phantomdetectives.org. And I am also on Facebook under Psychic Medium, Autumn Melissa. So reach out anytime if you have any questions.
AutumnMelissa.com or
Yes,
.org?
well, so you can find me on the web at psychicmedium.autumnmelissa.com, but you can find me under the same name on Facebook. So,
Very awesome.
yes.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is, and again, thanks for coming to the show. We're going to
Thanks
bring
for
on
having us.
the actual
Yes.
one that developed and
Created.
created
Yes.
Phantom Detectives. He's coming in a couple minutes. He's It's going to be Joshua Chairs, so don't go anywhere.
Yes,
tuned.
stay tuned.
Coming back.
Yep.
All right, again, this is Marky Z, and now we have Joshua Chairs, the founder and director of Phantom Detectives, live with us here, as it was awesome to have Melissa, his teammate, psychic medium, and of course Rick Warner, lead investigator, just here. Now we have Joshua. Welcome, all the way from Oxford, Pennsylvania. You are the man that created this amazing show, Phantom Detectives.
Yes, I am, and I am the founder, director, and investigator for the team. I also have basically another platform that I also own called Dark Matter News. We will dive into that later on, which is a paranormal news hub. So I'm really looking forward to talking with you and paranormal investigating with you from your end and your listeners' end.
Nice. All right, so what I would like to do is start the show with your segment here that we have you live. And again, thank you for coming and being a guest with us.
Absolutely.
How did you come up with the idea to start this paranormal investigation idea and team?
Well, the idea was basically I decided in August of 2020 I needed to start a new team because I felt the old team that we were on basically wasn't progressing in a way that I thought that needed done. So I went ahead, created in August 20th of 2020, created business cards, created social media pages, created a team email, had the logos designed, had a website built by Kuki Info Media in India. So basically we started doing, we're under a new banner basically. So what my idea was, after watching the movie Sherlock Holmes and Phantom of the Opera, I said, why don't I just take these ideas and put them together? And also, there was an old 1950s comic called Phantom Detectives back in the day. So I said, I'm going to take both these names and put them together. And that was the overall idea of the inspiration for the team. And we did our first official pre-investigation at a place called the Selma Mansion, which is based out of Norristown, Pennsylvania. Very historic place, dates back to the 1790s.
Nice.
And there we actually got to meet a guy named Brian J. Cano from the show called The Haunted Collector. He is the tech manager on the show with Ed and Lorraine Warren's nephew, John Zaffis.
Wow.
So basically, he was like a tech manager. He's related to, he's actually, was actually worked with John Zaffis, who's a nephew, Ed and Lorraine.
Wow.
And basically, so in terms of all that, basically, we actually got to learn a lot from him that night. So he actually showed us how to set up the SLS camera, how to run the EMF meters, how to do EVPs, how to do thermal camera sweeps, and just gave us a really great crash course on everything. So what we did was, me and my former lead investigator, we took that knowledge that we learned from Brian, and we did our first official investigation at a place called the Sanderson Museum, which is based out of Chadds Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
This museum is basically very historic. The Christian Sanderson was a well-known musician, poet. He was also a radio host. He was also he actually played violins. He was very well respected and held square dances a lot in the Chadds Ford area.
Nice.
He also, basically, there's actually, like, inside the museum, there's a bandage from President Abraham Lincoln that was taken on him when he was basically, after he was killed by John Wilkes Booth in 1865. There's a purse from the Jenny Wade house there.
Wow.
There's actual letters from Helen Keller, Shirley Temple, Sitting Bull. So he had a lot of dignitaries and stuff write to him.
Wow.
So what we did was we set up our equipment in different parts of the museum. We had EVP recorders, security cameras, like DVR security cameras, and then we also had basically, EMF meters like this. This is a Mel meter. It measures temperature and electromagnetic field, and you can see it right here. Basically, it just shows you the temperature of the meter. So this is it's also a REM pod, which basically does that. So you kind of see it it lights. It's a motion sensor device. So what we did was, after doing this investigation, we were in the violin room, which is known to be, where Christian Sanderson was known to inhabit the most. And there, basically, the security camera was going off, basically, it's like a motion sensor camera, and it wasn't us. We weren't in the room. On top of the EMF meters, which were going off like nonstop, the tri-field and the Mel meter were going off on top of an orb flew by basically right on top of the left hand of the museum right inside the museum room. So when you can add the EMF meters, when you can add the security camera going off on its own, you can add the picture of the orb, that gives you layers upon layers.
Wow.
So we took that knowledge, and so we captured several EVPs in that during that first investigation. And then our second investigation we did was a place called the Mill of Aunt Selma. And this place actually was founded by Samuel Lightfoot in 1747.
Wow.
It's the continuing oldest operating mill in the United States. They do like corn, they do grain, they do soy, wheat, flour, all kinds of various things there. And a famous poet named Sarah Oberheiser stayed there in the 1920s.
Wow.
Also a famous guy named Oliver Collins, who was the last millwright there. So basically, we did an paranormal investigation there in January of 2021.
Wow.
And there, we were the only ones on the property that night when we set up our equipment. And this is on our YouTube channel, Phantom Detectives LLC. You can see a door from the mill was bolted shut, completely latched up and everything. Basically flew open by itself. I have no reasonable explanation how that happened. And basically, when the thing was bolted shut, I tried to figure out like if there was wind or something, I could have pushed it. But me and my former lead investigator weren't even on the property that night. Basically, It was just us. So for that thing to fly open by itself like that was beyond. I have no reasonable scientific explanation why it happened. And then also that night, we also have a video of a rope swinging by itself on the second floor. We were on the third floor at the time, so pretty much this rope was going kind of like this back and forth. And basically that I never had seen that happen on an investigation. And then when I was on the third floor doing what we call phantom time, it's our EVP session where we take a voice recorder and we just try to record spirit voices with it. On the third floor of the mill, we actually caught this EVP that said, go. Like, I was like, whoa, this is, holy heck, this is scary. And this is right after a guy that we had, Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, who joined our team as a researcher. Mark basically is a psychic lawyer, psychic explorer. He actually solved famous cases. He's been featured on Gaia TV. Several others. He's been on Coast to Coast AM. He's one of the most, he's been to Oxford School in England, basically, for, so he's one of the top mediums in the world.
All right, we're talking about now, you joined forces with Melissa and Rick.
Yes.
How did that work out?
Sure. So basically, in March of 2021, now Melissa and Rick joined the team. Basically, first, Rick joined, so I invited him to do, to bring his skills from, the MUFON background, UFO background, into our organization, because he had skills in field surveying. He had skills in basically interviewing witnesses and clients, and he also had skills basically with basically analyzing different patterns and flight patterns of UFOs. So I thought that I wanted to bring more diversity in the team, and I thought that Rick really was able to bring those skills into our into the talent pool of Phantom Detectives. So basically, what I actually appointed him as the first official tech manager, which he still serves continually to this day. And during our first investigation of the Betsy Ross house, the Betsy Ross house is very historic. George Washington visited there in 1776. The nation's first flag was sown there, and many reports of people seeing Betsy's spirit in her room, as well as down in the basement area. So we booked the investigation through Historic Philadelphia. And then basically through that investigation, we actually, Rick and our previous lead investigator were down in the basement area doing EVP session basically, and there they captured some growls like that, really like roar, like kind of like that, which were completely menacing. And those are on our website, phantomdetectives.org, where you can, under the EVP section. So we actually captured those, and I went ahead and posted them on the site. They came out of Rick's voice recorder. And then when I was upstairs in Betsy's room, basically, I took a thermal camera. And the thermal camera, I'll give a quick little breakdown of what it is. It's a really simple little device. It's a really cool, it's called a FLIR. And what this does is it basically takes hot and cold signatures. So you can kind of see us on
infrared
the infrared, yep. So anything that's, if it's someone that was living, it would be like a red or an orange. And basically, if it was someone that was that non-living, it would be a cold signature, like a blue. So basically, so basically, there I pointed and clicked in Betsy's room, and I captured this silhouette of a figure right next to her bed. So I definitely think that was Betsy Ross. And then
Wow.
I called an EVP in the opposite room in the guest room and said, I've been here too. So basically it must have been, one of Betsy's husbands that was trying to communicate with us.
Yes.
So after that investigation, Melissa came in because she was studying, mediumship, advanced mediumship, and psychic development under someone named Cindy Kaza from the show The Holzer Files.
Okay.
And The Holzer Files are a show on Discovery Plus about Dr. Hans Holzer, who was the first ghost hunter in America.
Wow.
His daughter Alexandria reopened these 50 to 60-year-old cases with someone named Dave Schrader from Darkness Radio, Cindy Kaza, who is Melissa's mentor, and of course Shane Pittman, who is the tech manager. So Cindy actually recommended basically Melissa to me because she was one of her students basically.
Okay.
And I thought that Melissa, especially in studying advanced psychic development and remote viewing and all those skills, her joining the team in June of 2021 was absolutely awesome. And right before she joined, we actually made a major purchase. The former Dark Matter Digital Network news anchor, a fellow by the name of Leo Ashcraft, reached out to us in May of 2020. He worked for Art Bell on Midnight in the Desert, and he said, would you guys be interested in buying my news service that I had for art?
Wow.
And I said, what is it? It's like so basically Dark Matter News was a 5-minute newscast at the bottom of every hour of Art Bell's show. So we went ahead, we made an offer, we purchased the rights to the name Dark Matter News, we purchased the rights to the logos, we also purchased the rights to the website, the audio files, so everything that came with the sale. It was a undisclosed amount. So when he reached out and we bought that, basically what we did was we rebranded it under Phantom Detectives LLC. So it's like a division of our paranormal research team. So now we relaunched that for a news hub of all things UFOs, all things ghosts, all things Bigfoot, all things conspiracy or unexplained phenomena. We post that on our website, darkmatternews.com.
I was going to say, these are all things you can get on your website, because I checked the website out several times. It's a really awesome website, by the way. It's amazing. And you can get all these things he's talking about. It's all on that site. It's unbelievable. What I want to do is, because we're looking at time at this point, and I want to wrap up the show with you. What would you say is the most amazing opportunity you had that was like mind-blowing in your investigation? If you had to pick something, what would have been one that really is like, wow, this is amazing, that this is really happening and we have the proof of it, we have evidence? What would you say it would be?
I'm going to say out of all the investigations that we've done over the last 2 years, and we've grown quite a bit, I'm going to say the one that really defines me is the Selma Mansion, where we were with Brian J. Cannon, with Melissa. We actually did our 4th investigation there in June of 2021.
Nice.
And that night, basically, Melissa was picking up on a servant lady, named Martha, basically. So we went ahead and we captured her image on the thermal camera.
Wow.
And the night that I was there, the activity was insane. The actual Selma Mansion was founded by, Melissa was picking up a connection to President Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
And I did some research in the history, and I found out that the person that created the mansion was a guy by the the name escapes me, but he was a great grandfather of General Andrew Porter, who was a great grandfather of Mary Todd Lincoln, basically. President Lincoln's
she's picking
wife.
that up.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So she's able to.
Wow.
She's able to detect that, and basically I went to the history and back checked it, and she was spot on with it. And the night that we were there, there's a place called the Toy Room on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
That was the night that basically we had a REM pod set up. We had Sasha had her electroscope, a Paranologies device. It's picks up static electricity.
Wow.
And in the toy room area, the EMF meters were going off. The K2 meters were going off.
Wow. So the energy was high.
Absolutely. I saw a door flew open by itself a couple minutes prior to going up there. And then what was wild was we had a guest investigator by the name of Ashley Yeager. Her husband was actually, coming in to pick her up for the night.
Yeah.
And he thought he saw in the middle of standing on the 3rd floor, like a person with brown hair. And I said, were you any guys up there in that 3rd floor doll room or toy room? And I said, no, none of us were up there at that time. We were on the first floor. And then the same thing that was wild was basically when I was watching the command center, because I was basically got my COVID vaccine, so I was just kind of taking it easy,
Right.
and watching the DVR system that notify them. So what was wild was the REM pod. We had people, there was little beep 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 REM pods going off.
Right.
And basically, what was interesting was like every time that it was going in the piano room. Every time wasn't in that room, that thing was going off like crazy.
Wow.
But then when I walked into that room, it completely stopped. Basically, almost like completely dead. So it's almost like as soon as I would leave, that thing would just go off again. So sometimes these devices and these electronics that we use,
Right.
they the spirits like kind of pick and choose how they want to use
Which
them, when they
ones
want
they
to
want.
use them.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like basically here's a toy. Here's all these different toys. Basically, I'm going to set up this one, that one.
Right. And we talked about that in depth pretty much with Melissa and Rick earlier. But now, coming to a close, as we close, my last question would be, what is the future looking like for Phantom Detectives?
Well, there's a lot of things basically going on. The first thing basically for Phantom Detectives is basically we're going to be moving our content over to Roku, Fire, Apple, and Google Play.
Nice.
We were staying on YouTube for a while, but we feel YouTube is not a good place for paranormal investigators, so we're going to be moving over to a new platform called Second Team Entertainment. Brian basically said we're going to be moving all of our content over there in the coming weeks, so people can still watch us. We're going to be on Fright Night Fridays, which is basically where we're going to be able to be doing that. So that's the first good news. And the second piece of information is we're going to be doing something called World's Largest Ghost Hunt on September 25th, 2022.
That looks amazing.
That is an event where 300 plus teams from around the world investigate at once simultaneously via live stream.
Wow.
So this is a truly worldwide event. And we're going to be doing the Bolton Mansion up in Levittown, which is right outside of Philadelphia. It dates back to like 1687.
Wow.
Very, very historic. And we're going to be doing that for from 7 to 12, and we're going to be live streaming National Ghost Hunting Day around 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, which is the same time we did last year when we did the Sanderson Museum.
Right.
So that is definitely on another thing on the bucket list. Another thing we're doing was with Dark Matter News. We're actually moving the audio files, all the original audio files that Leo Ashcraft recorded for Art in 15.
Wow.
We're going to be putting them on our Dark Matter News website, so the paranormal newscast, so people can download and enjoy the original ones. And I'll be making new segments for those in a couple of weeks here. Once I get the proper headset, the mics, the mixer, and all that, I'm going to be recording new newscasts, just like Leo did for Art. I'm going to be putting that on the radio network so people can say, "Hey, UFO spotted in Anchorage, Alaska," and I'll go through that. And
that's very cool.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. And of course, we'll keep the news stories on the news website going. And basically, then we're also going to be focusing on, wrapping up the year. We're going to be trying to, book a couple more investigations, get as much of our content over on Roku, Fire TV.
Awesome.
And then, of course, next year we're also going to be producing a documentary, which Rick will be working on, basically a paranormal documentary.
Yes.
So that will be a lot of fun, and I'm planning on getting many big names in the field in that project.
That's amazing. All right, well, I'll tell you what, man. I want to thank you for coming to the show, along with Melissa and Rick as well. It was awesome having you. The stories you guys had were so awesome, and it's like amazing who's got evidence. And we're going to show our viewers this because I've got some of this footage that we talked about you're going to get to see on the show. So I appreciate everybody listening and watching. I'm Marky Z, my partner Rockdo, and I'm out.
Still, and they're not moving here? Okay, that's a...
Oh, guess what? An orb just literally flew right in front of you.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Another one flew by.
Okay, so I have some questions I want to ask. Are there any spirits present in this room? If there are, please cross the dowsing rods forward for yes and back for no. Are there any spirits present in this room? Okay, thank you. Can you please put the dowsing rods back to the center? Thank you. A little bit more on the right. Perfect. How many spirits do we have right now in this catacomb? If it's one, if it's more than one, please cross the rods forward for yes. Okay, it's more than one. Okay, can you please reset the dowsing rods to the center, please? Thank you.